So hi, my name is Mark, and I'm a teacher, and I'm going to invite you to play with an idea, which is rethinking the place of play in education. To kick this off, I thought it might be fun for us to start with a pop quiz, just to make it really, really fun. Don't worry, it's a really simple one. So pop quiz, just fill in the opposite. Day, got it. Good. You guys are naturals. Okay, work? Play. Okay, now let's spend some time on that. Work and play are opposites. Now, I know that's what we were taught in school, but does it have to be that way? I mean, because if our sense of enjoyment and play is over here, and the opposite end of the spectrum is our work, that doesn't really work. Not to really sustain a life, right? So we could look at how we could change that, how we could rediscover a sense of play in our schools, in our work, and throughout our whole life. To kick that off, I think we need to look at redefining our definition of play in a way that's supported by science. You know, play can really be any activity as long as it's intrinsically interesting to us and is conducive to a sense of flow. That is a focused and immersed sense of awareness which allows us to do our very best work, to enhance our learning, and to achieve peak performance. All right, multiple choice. Play-based learning strategies promote A, tacit learning, which is the kind of deep learning that allows us to achieve mastery in any field. B, critical analysis and creativity, which the World Economic Forum says are the core competencies for future jobs. C, emotional intelligence, which many researchers point to as the very best predictor of workplace success, even more so than IQ. Or D, all of the above. D. Ding, 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 ding. So I want to share these findings with you because when I talk about play, lots of times I think people get it confused with entertainment, you know? And it's something deeper, something more important. You know, I just feel like play never gets a seat at the big kids' table, you know? Why don't we give play a test? You know, just to see if it's up to it, something really challenging to make it interesting. How about helping us deal with our current crisis in higher education? That sounds fun. That's juicy, right? So there is near universal agreement that higher ed is in trouble. And in a way, I think that's great. Because it's when we get to that point that real change can be possible. So let's play. To kick this off, I kind of hit you with a not-so-fun fact, which is, according to a recent survey, less than half of our current college students believe that their school is preparing them well for their professional life. Less than half of our students feel that way. What do they really care about? What's really interesting to them? Well, according to a recent survey, 92% of Gen Z respondents said that the most important core value for them was authenticity. Authenticity. I mean, when I think about my generation, I think that our core value was more like, you know, we've got to fight for our right to party. But back to Generation Z. When we look at work, I found this really interesting. They prioritize purpose, meaning, and enjoyment over financial compensation. Kids today, right? Maybe we really need to learn from them. So what does all this have to do with play? To connect the dots between authenticity and play, I'm going to turn to a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus, and he connected it this way. We are most nearly ourselves when we achieve the seriousness of the child at play. I love that. We are most nearly ourselves when we achieve the seriousness of the child at play. Play can give us serious insights into what our authentic interests are, what our unique aptitudes are. And to demonstrate, just how this sense of play can become a foundation for lifelong learning and a meaningful career, I'd like to tell you about a young man named Charles, who I think of as kind of a prototypical Gen Z. Like a lot of Gen Z kids, he was, very comfortable with science and tech, and he also resisted his father's efforts to get him to commit to a conventional career. Charles was just, into what he was into, which was mainly collecting biological specimens. I mean, he was all about it. He once spent 8 years just on barnacles. Just barnacles. Now, Charles, by his own admission, was no genius, but he had something which I see as much more attainable and actually much more useful, which was an abiding passion for a kind of work that he experienced as play. That sense of play sustained him throughout an entire career and apprenticeship, learning science, all kinds of related fields, which ended up resulting in a little book called The Origin of the Species. I'm talking about Charles Darwin. Now, these dots that Charles connected, play, passion, perseverance, meaning, these transformed his life, and they changed our world. But this path is not unique to him. Many experts have connected these dots: perseverance, passion, success. This is really the trifecta of forming a meaningful life for anyone. Now, if we want to help our current students connect these dots in their lives, I think we may need to evolve, to take another look at almost a factory model of education, which the late, great Sir Ken Robinson noticed was, really part of the DNA of our school experience. It's not the strongest of the species that survives. It is the most adaptable to change. To look at how we need to adapt our current model of education, I thought the most simple way might be to just have me try to teach you something. Now, it could be anything, but to make it fun, how do you hit a major league home run? Just to keep it fun, right? So you step into the batter's box, you transfer your weight from your back foot to your front foot. That generates torque, which you convert to velocity, and you connect with the ball at a dispatch angle of between 15 and 20 degrees, and that'll send that ball 400 feet past the center field wall, which is the standard distance between home plate and center field in Major League Baseball parks. Now, time out. I've just taught you something, but have you learned anything, really? Anything that you couldn't look up on the internet? And this is the way that many teachers were taught to teach. It's like we provide the knowledge and the students do their part, which is that learning bit. That's been the division of labor, okay? But I think that working this way, it no longer works. Yes, we can verify the teaching of facts on a standardized test, but is that really meaningful when our entire world, all of its facts, are available to us in the palm of our hand? I believe that for higher education to remain truly relevant, we need to do something deeper. We need to offer something more. I believe that the true calling of teachers is not the teaching of curriculum, but the teaching of students. I believe that the real home run is getting them to connect with a lifelong passion for learning, that can set them on a path to career success and a meaningful life. So I know that as a teacher, asking you to rethink the place of play in education, that can be a lot to wrap your mind around. Ironically, it can almost sound like an awful lot of work. So what I'd like to do is just to offer you a couple small things to try, to just play with this idea of play. So the first is obligatory fun. I spend the first 5 minutes of every class on inspiration. Now, it's not graded, but it is required because I want students to start paying attention to those tiny sparks of interest which could become, the opportunity for their greatness if they invest the time and energy and follow their path. Number 2 is to flip the script. Now, in a standard classroom, projects are assigned to students by the instructor as a tool of assessment to help them do their grading. And this isn't lost on students. The class is really the teacher's world. The students are just living in it, right? Did you feel that way? And I'm suggesting that you flip the script. You challenge students to take on projects that are personally meaningful for them. This requires them to take accountability for their own learning and to learn to thrive in the project-based, self-directed workflows, which are really, the engine of our knowledge economies. Teaching students this way isn't a pass. On the contrary, if you can get their heart in the game, they will play harder for you than you could ever make them work. Imagine a world where our teachers didn't get burnt out just trying to get students to do their homework, and instead unlock the power of play to help students discover their life's work. Imagine a world where schools are no longer built on an outmoded model of education, but instead we give students a playbook for 21st century career success by teaching them to thrive in the creative, project-based workflows that they will graduate to when they leave school. Imagine a world where schools are no longer a place that teaches us that play and work are opposites, but helps us to connect those dots so that we can claim our birthright, which is life as an adventure, where we connect our authentic interests with our unique aptitudes and give our gifts to the world. Thank you.